Nicktoons Unite is a video game series from the 2000s that I think we all find rather nostalgic. The most iconic crossover of all time, mainly focusing on Spongebob, Timmy Turner, Danny Phantom, and Jimmy Neutron. But as the series became successful, more franchises were thrown into the mix. But through these four main games, they create a large story, and today, I'm going to talk about it. Our story begins in Bikini Bottom. And right off the bat, you can definitely tell these games favor SpongeBob as the main character, even going as far as European copies of the game being called SpongeBob SquarePants and Friends Unite. Plankton and the Syndicate, which I will explain in a second, begins taking over Bikini Bottom. Out of nowhere, Goddard, Jimmy Neutron's robot dog, comes through a portal and shows SpongeBob a broadcast of boy genius himself, Jimmy Neutron. And Jimmy convinces SpongeBob to help their cause in stopping the Syndicate. SpongeBob agrees, and thus he goes to Jimmy's lab. There, he meets Timmy Turner and Danny Phantom, although there really isn't any formal introduction. SpongeBob just kind of goes along with it. So the Syndicate, each major villain from each show, has joined forces for some master plan. And what is the master plan? It's a plan. So Professor Calamitous, Jimmy Neutron's villain, has gained access to Jimmy Neutron's blueprints to a universe portal machine and built his own. He has traveled to the worlds of each character and teamed with their villain, Vlad from Danny Phantom, Mr. Crocker from Fairly OddParents, and Plankton from SpongeBob SquarePants. They are draining energy from their worlds. Remember this because this is a very common theme. The four Nickelodeon superstars band together and unite to stop them. First, they go to Amity Park, Danny Phantom's world. They go on a few missions to get to Vlad, and then they defeat him. However, they let him get away. They literally just let him leave. They then go to Bikini Bottom, and here's where more SpongeBob favoritism comes in. Mr. Krabs has been captured. Sandy Cheeks helps the heroes along, and then we also meet Patrick, and he helps, well, kinda. They defeat Plankton, and just like Vlad, they let him escape. And then they go to Dimsdale, Timmy Turner's world. They change plans and actually go to Fairy World because Crocker is draining fairy energy. So basically they stop Crocker. Well, can you guess what happened next? They let him get away. They get back to Retroville and need to find Calamitous's lab. In the meantime, Goddard is scratching himself. Miraculously, Jimmy knows it's a robot flea constructed by Calamitous to steal the universe portal machine or whatever it's called. I haven't really mentioned how convenient the stories were because yeah, it's a kid's game, and plot isn't really the main point, but oh my god, I know he's a boy genius, but seriously, looking at your robo-dog and knowing exactly what is wrong, who made, and knowing the intentions behind it, I'm not buying it. So then they play Honey, I Shrunk the Nicktoons and go inside Goddard. They get the robot flea and track Calamitous via the flea. Once they get to the lair, we learn they have constructed a doomsday machine. Yup, the stereotypical we're villains because we're the bad guys without reason. Don't they know if they destroy the universe, they die too? Danny Phantom actually questions this, and Vlad assures him that they will survive in their machine. Okay, what then? There's literally nothing left. Crocker and Calamitous will die after like 3 days with no water. I know I'm complaining about a stupid story, but the worst part of this is Plankton and Crocker never wanted really any sort of world destruction in their separate stories, especially Crocker. But like anywho, they destroy the defense mechanisms on the machine. They just let Calamitous stand there and talk to them. Meanwhile, Vlad sits up here completely unanimated. There's 30 seconds left before they destroy Retroville and they don't know what to do. Guess who saves the day? SpongeBob. Of course, he's the one to do it. Fast forward, Jimmy tells them Calamitous has been jailed and gives them neutron recallers. That gives them communication in case something like this happens again. Hint, hint, they're setting up the sequel. An unspecified amount of time has passed, and now we're into our next game. Nicktoons Battle for Volcano Island. Here is Volcano Island, and here are 3 of its inhabitants. This is the one we care about. Instead of a cool name like Richard or something, his name is Wise Old Crab. I think they need a new naming department. They are doing some cult-like things trying to summon the 9 Chosen Ones. Who are these 9 Chosen Ones? SpongeBob SquarePants, Patrick Star, Squidward Tentacles, Sandy Cheeks, Jimmy Neutron, Timmy Turner, Danny Phantom, Sam Manson, and Tucker Foley. You can only play as 6 of these characters. Squidward, Tucker, and get this, Jimmy Neutron are not playable. We got Sandy Cheeks, but not Jimmy Neutron. You can definitely see the favoritism of SpongeBob once again. Anywho, these 9 have been chosen to defeat the ancient enemy named the Maw-Goo. The Maw-Goo wants to take over the world. So, with no explanation why, how is he doing it? He is spreading his goo everywhere. That sounded much better in my head. This goo basically mind controls everything it touches. Remember this because they literally reuse this exact plot point for the 4th game. So the Maw-goo, like the big bad guy he is, destroys their shrine thingy, and the 9 are scattered. Why does it scatter them? Why do 3 of the chosen ones happen to be neighbors? Why did they decide to still only pick from 3 different Nicktoons? SpongeBob and Danny Phantom literally fall from the sky. SpongeBob says this,
"Hey, this doesn't look like Bikini Bottom,"
while his eyes are in the sand. The wise old crab greets them. They are both shocked to see him. I got another question. Why is SpongeBob shocked to see a talking crab? I mean, his boss is also a talking crab. Their first mission is to find the 7 heroes that were scattered. They find Patrick, then Tucker, then Sam, then Squidward, then Timmy. Finally, it's not just the SpongeBob and Danny Phantom game. They fight a boss controlled by the Maw-goo ooze. We then meet Jimmy, who wasn't scattered at all and is still in his lab. He lets the gang know that the Maw-goo is draining energy from Bikini Bottom, Amity Park, Fairy World, and Retroville. Sound familiar? Jimmy tells them they need to find pieces that are conveniently falling from the sky to build this hyper-complex machine that you could probably find at Menards. They then find Sandy Cheeks. Next they don't actually find the pieces. They do a side quest. The queen of the Myrmec tribe has been captured by the king of the Florins, so they quickly rescue the Bugs Life character from this broccoli guy. Conveniently, there's one of the pieces to the machine in the ooze mines as well, the espresso machine. So then they go to this guy named King Gorge. He is blocking a dam, I guess. It's really not important to the whole grand story. So he's controlled by the ooze, they defeat him, he shrinks to this, and then he gives them a piece of the machine, and the machine is done and ready. I guess they needed 2 pieces. They climb to the top of the mountain and use the rip zipper, the machine they just built. The gang floats up into wherever this is. Maw-goo is here, and he's like, I'm a big bad guy, grr, I'm evil. I'm gonna destroy. He flies up, the gang splits up and traverses in what looks like a subspace bomb. They defeat him, get him stuck in the rip, and seals it up. He delivers the most cliche line,
"This is an over, chosen ones."
Guess what? We never see him again. Oh, there he is in the 3rd game. And we don't exactly know what happens at the end of the game, just everything goes back to normal, they go back to their own worlds. Then another unspecified amount of time has passed, and we get the 3rd game, Nicktoons, Attack of the Toybots. My personal favorite. We start on the game show, The Biggest Genius. Professor Calamitous is back again. He tells the audience his new master plan. You take fairies from Fairy World, feed them Krabby Patties from Bikini Bottom, which then makes them fart. You combine the fart gas with his toys, which brings them to life, and then use ghost energy to make them evil, I guess. He's also making the toy robots based on master models, which are basically copies of our favorite Nicktoon characters. Hang on. That sounds like taking energy from Fairy World, taking energy from Bikini Bottom, and taking energy from Amity Park. So we're stealing energy from all of the worlds again. Huh. The writers really couldn't think of another reason for the bad guys to be bad? Oh well, 3rd time's the charm. Also in this cutscene, oh my god, the Maw-goo. Surely he's teaming up with Calamitous, right? Right? We start in Bikini Bottom. For the 2nd time of these games, SpongeBob and Patrick deliver 2,387 Krabby Patties to this factory. This robot doesn't pay and just sucks them all into the factory. Kinda rude if you ask me. He also accidentally sucks Patrick. Wait, not what I meant. SpongeBob has to go rescue him, so he gets all Mr. Roboto and goes to Jabba's door droid. SpongeBob infiltrates their factory and finds Vacuum Patrick. In comes Tack from the Poo Poo Nunu people. You guys remember him, right? He has a super successful show based off that trilogy of games. You know. No, you don't. His show was brand new at the time, so they threw him in here for advertising. So why is Tack in the factory? Like I mentioned before, Calamitous is stealing the heroes and scanning them to make robots based off of them. Also, I'd like to mention that this factory they are currently in is underwater, still in Bikini Bottom. Factory, making electronics, underwater. Also Tack, seemingly fine and breathing well. Consistency. People. Consistency. Inside the factory, they open the portal to the actual Toybot factory called Evil Toy Co. Why is it always portals, portals, portals? They also make the most forced joke known to man.
Nice work! You've earned yourself a big kick, Tack.
2.
You know that writer got a raise that day. So after making it through the factory, killing the Toybots, etc., etc., they make it to the factory basement where they meet Chadbot. Professor Calamitus's helper bot. Chadbot doesn't like his boss all too well because he is overlooked and underappreciated. The gang needs a way to contact Danny Phantom, so Chadbot agrees to let him use his, well, they gave it a name, but I don't remember what it is. It's his Skype account, basically. Chadbot lets them use it on one condition. They must collect more master models for his collection. And again, the master models are the scans of the characters. He wants a bunch of figurines that I'm jealous of because I would like those figurines too. I'm getting so close with all my Funko Pops, but I doubt they're going to make one of Tak. So after he requests it, they collect a lot of our favorite Nicktoons characters. Unfortunately, only a few of them are playable. Stimpy, Gurr, Rocco, and XJ9. Then they contact Danny Phantom, and he reveals that Amity Park is overrun with Toybots. Jimmy tells him to meet at the Evil Toy Co. Amity Park outlet, which makes it sound like it's in a mall, right next to Hot Topic and Barnes & Noble. Good on Calamitus. He's franchising. So they get there, and Jimmy reveals the coolest thing to come out of these games. Mechs. Unique mechs for all the characters. We get to use them for the rest of the game now, right? Please? You also fight the Toybots that look like the characters. They are very cool, and it's unfortunate that they're only in this level and the final level. Such a waste of potential. This Amity Park level in the mechs is like no other, besides the final level. It's also very hard. I found it very, very difficult when I was a kid, and now as a 48-year-old man, I still find it very hard. Once they defeat the blockade, they go back into the factory and kill some more Toybots. Next, we learn there is a fairy harvester in Fairy World. That sounds a lot more gruesome than what it actually is. The gang goes there, frees Jorgen von Strangle, and he destroys the harvester. Their next step is to go to Calamitus's lair, and they're back in their mech suits. They destroy more Toybots, and game over. It's literally that dumb of an ending. No boss, no nothing, just a cutscene. They make their way onto the set of the game show. It cuts. The host reveals the winner of the Biggest Genius game, and it's revealed to be Chadbot, the best character in this whole franchise. Suddenly, our characters are out of their mechs and act like they weren't just trying to blow up the factory. Chadbot gets a sash and a razor to shave Calamitus's mustache. The ending is absolutely terrible. We're 3/4 of the way done. You see how the stories are connecting, right? Of course you do. On to our final installment in the Unite series. At least for now. Nicktoons, Globs of Doom. There are these goo meteors headed towards Earth. Ugh, why is Squidward walking like that? He has never walked like that before. Anywho, Squidward gets gooed on and then becomes basically a zombie. Turns out, that's what the goo does to people. Patrick just appears and they panic. A portal opens and Jimmy Neutron comes through it. Why he doesn't instantly die from the pressure underwater is beyond me. Jimmy takes SpongeBob and Patrick back to Volcano Island. Remember that place? They make a makeshift base at the Magu lair. It didn't exist in the second game. They're just like, hey, remember this name called Magu? Yeah, we're gonna use it in the title of this, so it is kind of a callback, but it doesn't actually make sense. Our boy Danny Phantom comes out and informs us that everyone's homes are under attack. Tak also comes out and says Pupu Nunu is under attack. And to everyone's surprise, the bad guys come out. Technus, whoever that is. Beautiful Gorgeous, whoever that is. Treylock, whoever that is, and Plankton. I do actually know who that is. They call them the Evil Syndicate, but I must have missed something because Plankton was the only member of the Syndicate. Also, on a side note, it's very confusing to me why we got these characters and not the main villains of every series. We got Technus instead of Vlad, Beautiful Gorgeous instead of Calamitus, and who is Treylock? He appears in one episode of Tak and the Power of Juju, and he is considered Tak's villain, I guess. Zim and Dib show up too, and for some reason Zim joins the hero's side and Dib joins the villains. The weirdest part of this is that SpongeBob somehow already knows Zim when there hasn't been any prior meeting. Best explanation I can give is that SpongeBob met Gurr last game, so using the transitive property, maybe he knows Zim. It's kind of a stretch. So the good guys and the bad guys team up. And remember this guy, Mr. Krabs ripoff? He's back too. Technus tells them that apparently they've been tracking the goo for a while now, despite hitting Earth mere hours ago. The species the goo creates is called Morphoids. Jimmy Neutron gets the ancient Magu technology working and gives everyone some sort of weapon. SpongeBob declares they must go save Bikini Bottom. And we're there. Firstly, I'd like to point out how random this scene is. Why is SpongeBob just standing there with Bubble Bass as he's about to eat? There's no context prior to this scene. I get it's to set up the boss for this world, but it's so random for him to just be there. Morphoid juice lands on the Krabby Patty, and then the fat hog eats it. Suddenly, back at the Magu lair, Plankton gets big and gets his weapons, and oh looky there, SpongeBob's back. So 3 levels later, SpongeBob and Treylock, man what a pairing, defeat Giant Bubble Bass in what is probably the best animation I have ever seen. Bubble Bass throws up orange goo and lands right on SpongeBob. Due to plot armor, I mean his unique sponge-like characteristics, he doesn't mutate. Once again, back at Mogul Lair, SpongeBob is now a catalyst for the big meanie bad guy to talk through. And he's basically like, ooh, I'm a big bad evil guy and I'm here to be bad. Wise Old Crab goes to this room and shows them this mech suit type thing. They call it the Vessel of Dementia. Wise Old Crab goes to this room and shows them this mech suit type thing. They call it the Vessel of Dementia. So then the Wise Old Crab goes to this room and shows them this mech suit type thing. They call it the Vessel of Portentia. There are 4 pieces missing to the mech. Why are they so cartoony shaped and look like one of those baby toys where the circle piece goes in the square hole? Wait, there's 4 pieces to get, and 4 more worlds to go into. That surely is just a coincidence. Since every world is the same story, just repeated 4 times, let's go through it really quick. They go to Zim's Town, literally what it's called. Gur gets gooed on and becomes evil. They defeat him, they get a piece. SpongeBob gets gooed. They go to Amity Park. Ghost Dog gets gooed. They defeat him, they get another piece. SpongeBob breaks the 4th wall and freezes time. He gets gooed. This time, the voice reveals himself to be Globulus Maximus, ruler of the Morphoids. They go to Retroville. Jimmy's girl-eating plant has been mutated. They defeat it and get another piece. SpongeBob gets gooed. Globulus Maximus is super close to Earth now. They go to Pupu Nunu. There is no boss here, probably because it's Tax World and Tack sucks. So they get the last piece, back at the Mogul Lair. Globulus speaks once again through SpongeBoy Me Bob, and basically admits he hates being goo. I forgot to mention, Globulus Maximus is literally older than time. So of all the times he's coming to this conclusion, it has to be now? He tells SpongeBob he is unlike anyone he has ever met. Yeah, probably because he's floating in space. He probably hasn't met anyone. Because SpongeBob's happiness is so inspiring to him, Globulus declares he is going to become SpongeBob. SpongeBob wants to go destroy Globulus. He says it's time to chew bubblegum and blow. Danny says they're all out of bubblegum. Hey, yo, what does this imply? They take the now working Vessel of Portentia and defeat Globulus Maximus. The bad guys do what the bad guys do and kick out the good guys. I guess for story purposes, Dib's stuck with the bad guys, I guess. The good guys now float in space, which should definitely kill them all. Maybe not Zim, but the others should be dead. I'd like to point out they forgot to put Tack in here, so he must be stuck on the ship or something. The evil syndicate want to capture Globulus for future evil doings. Globulus reveals he's a booger. Oh, Tack's there now. They throw him Krabby Patties, which I don't understand, and then he evolves into SpongeGlob. Are you lost yet? You now play as SpongeGlob versus the Vessel of Portentia. The Vessel of Portentia blows up in what should kill the villains, but, you know, it's a kid's game. They fly back to Earth, leaving the villains up there, and they end on Volcano Island. What a story. And that's the end of it. Hey, where's Timmy Turner? So even though those are the 4 main games, there has been quite a few Nicktoon crossover games. Unfortunately, they are pretty much only racers and Super Smash Bros. Knockoffs. All-Star Brawl is literally Nicktoons Smash Bros. And the first one is just a fighting game, but the second one has a story mode. It's not part of this big story though. It's not part of Nicktoons Unite. Nicktoons Unite is over, unfortunately. There's a story mode in that game, but it's not a story mode. It's just like the story mode in Smash Ultimate. It's not actually a story mode, you're just fighting a bunch of people. As much as I would like another Unite game, I kinda hope it doesn't ever come out. Because could you imagine it with the current Nicktoon characters? Putting Sanjay and Craig, the breadwinners, and Bunsen as a beast as the main characters? Yeah, that would be totally fun.